What is up, guys? It is Carly here, bringing you day number 1 of my second annual 31 Days of Horror. Yes, it is that time again, and I managed to pull this off last year, so hopefully I can do it again this year. And of course, this is a series where I review a horror movie every single day for the month of October. I apologize for the notifications on my laptop, they keep going off, but anyway, yes, a few other people do this on YouTube, and it's just a fun thing to get excited for Halloween and fall and all of that. And last year I did a theme where I only reviewed movies that were kind of set on Halloween or had like small parts that were set on Halloween, and I was going to do a theme again this year. I was going to do one every year, but the time kind of got away from me, to be completely honest. And besides that, I have a lot of stuff on my to-watch stack that I still just have not gotten to, and I felt like this would be the perfect opportunity to go ahead and knock more stuff off my list so I can put it on my shelves. And I have well over 31 movies that I still need to watch, and yeah, so this is just going to be a random year. The movies I review are going to be totally random, have nothing to do with each other, anything like that. These are just movies that I have not seen before, or if I have seen them, it's been a long time and I don't really remember them, so that should be interesting. I have some stuff that JP got me around Christmas time. I have some stuff that Derek has given me, some stuff that Austin has probably given me, and then some other stuff that I bought myself because I have become an addict and I cannot stop buying stuff, even though I have a lot to watch. So with all that being said, we are going to get into day number 1 here, and we're starting off with a weird one called Bela, Lugosi meets a Brooklyn gorilla. Yes, this is from the year 1952. The reason I own this at all is because it was one that I was going to pick for the podcast that never happened with JP, called the Goodwill Hunting podcast, where we were going to pick obscure horror movies up at Goodwill and do reviews on them. The reason we did not go through with that plan is because our Goodwill sucks and never has enough movies to make a successful podcast work. So we kind of scratched the idea, and this one kind of just sat in my collection for a long time unwatched, just because it didn't seem like something I would be too interested in. But I decided to give it a go, and it only runs 74 minutes, so I figured, why not? It's not even that long of a movie to begin with. It is in black and white, and it does come in this weird, really skinny DVD case. This is the only DVD that I really own like that, which kind of bothers me because it looks kind of stupid on the shelf, but what are you gonna do? So the plot here is you have these 2 nightclub performers who fall out of their airplane and land on this island. There they meet the chief and the chief's daughter and some of the people who are living on this island. And then on the other side of the island, you have this mad scientist who's played by Bela Lugosi, and he's doing some weird experiments to pass the time by. And while these characters are on this island, they're obviously trying to get off of it so that they can get back to their normal lives as being performers. And the daughter of the chief is trying to help them out. While she's trying to help them out, the one character, Duke, kind of takes a liking to her, which sparks jealousy with this mad scientist character, and he turns Duke into a monkey. So, yeah, this movie is definitely very obscure. It's not one that I had ever heard of before. I'm sure other people who are into these older movies have probably heard of this one, but it's more of a horror slash comedy slash sci-fi slash musical. Sometimes there is some singing that goes on in this film, and I'm not a big fan of singing in my movies. I hate musicals. There's very few that I can really watch and stand, so right with that, I really don't care for that in this movie too much. I just find it to be kind of cheesy and cringy and unnecessary. I've just never liked musicals, but this is not too heavy on that, I will say. It is very heavy on the comedy elements. I feel like all movies from this time period, if they say they're horror comedies, it's going to be more comedic, just because back then horror wasn't that intense to begin with, and then when you put comedy into it, comedy back then was very slapsticky, and that's exactly what you get in this film. Very slapsticky, quirky, weird comedy, which doesn't really fit with me too much. I don't really find it to be that funny. It's definitely dated and just not something that makes me laugh out loud or smile or anything like that. I mean, scratch that. I do smile throughout this movie, I will say. That is one thing that I do like about these older films, is that they have their charm and they're very lighthearted, as I said. Nowadays a lot of horror films are very serious, dramatic, and have a lot of brutal, upsetting things going on in them. And back then it was just monster films mainly. I mean, this movie has a gorilla in it, and that is the only horror you really get out of it. So I do like it for its charm. I do like Bela Lugosi in this movie as well. He's just being that typical creepy type of mad scientist type of dude, so I did like him. Like I said, the two performer characters, they're comedians. I believe they're comedians, or were comedians, in real life as well, so that's pretty cool. But like I said, they're very over the top, especially the one. He's got this really annoying, loud, sort of scratchy voice, and it kind of gets on my nerves, but I know it's kind of part of his act as well, so can't really hate on that or anything like that. It's really hard to review a movie from this time period, especially when it's a goofy movie such as this, because you can't really be a hater towards it or be too hard on it, just because it's going to be dated, especially with comedies. I find that those are always very dated and just don't mix well with the newer audiences. So I'm not going to be too harsh on this film, but for me, it really wasn't for me. I didn't overly care for it. I thought the gorilla scenes were okay. I think they were not too badly done or anything like that. I don't think the gorilla looks awful, but yeah, that's really the only horror you really get out of this movie. It's definitely more heavy on the comedy and goofiness, and then you get sort of an ending that's sort of like, I would describe it as a Wizard of Oz ending, not to try to give away everything completely, but yeah, so it's got sort of a goofy ending to top it all off. I think IMDb actually had this rated really low at like a 3 out of 10, but I don't think it's that bad. For me personally, I would give it a 5 out of 10. It's just very average for me, but it was easy to watch, I will say. Like I said, it's only 74 minutes, so you can't really complain that you wasted your time or anything like that, and it is entertaining just for what it is. So 5 out of 10 for this film here. Thank you guys for joining me for day number 1 of my 31 days of horror, and I will see you in day number 2.